Mr. Chairman, it is fitting that we are holding this hearing today. 50 years ago, Sunday, Lyndon Johnson became the first president to warn about the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. In a special message to Congress on that day in 1965, he included the emissions of carbon dioxide, the main cause of global warming, in his warning on the impacts of air pollution. 50 years later, global temperatures are increasing. Glaciers around the world are melting. Sea level is rising. Heat waves are hotter. Rainfall and snowfall are more extreme. As daunting as the challenges seem, we have solutions available that can reduce pollution, create jobs, and inspire new technology. Just months before his death, President Kennedy proposed the Clean Air Act in February of 1963. In December of that year, it became the second law President Johnson signed as president. The original Clean Air Act created a program in the Public Health Service to address air pollution, establishing a public health foundation that has supported the strengthening of the law over the years. The Clean Air Act has succeeded. Smog, soot, other pollutants have dropped an average of more than 70% since 1970, even as America's GDP grew by 219%. Now, President Obama is using the Clean Air Act to reduce carbon pollution from power plants. And the same Kennedy-Johnson skyward vision that inspired an era of space exploration can spark a new clean energy revolution. Since the inception of America's space program, solar panels have been a critical power source for missions throughout the solar system. That same technology is now landing on rooftops and fields across the country. The solar industry now employs more than 170,000 people across our country, and it is adding workers nearly 20 times faster than the general economy. So this connection that exists between lowering, in fact, pollution while increasing employment is pretty steady throughout the years. Let me now turn to Massachusetts and the regional greenhouse gas initiative states. Those are Massachusetts, Maine, New York, Maryland, Connecticut, Delaware, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Since 2005, those states have reduced their greenhouse gas emissions by 40% while continuing to see gross domestic product growth in their economy. Do you believe that is a model which is going to be used by other states under the proposed regulations, which the administration is considering right now?
Senator, as you've just described, the RGGI approach has been quite successful, both in terms of environmental improvements and economically, and a good, very good investments for those states. And we certainly think it is one model that states might want to look at. I can't speak to whether other states would go down the same path, but I think the RGGI approach has laid groundwork and shown other states how this can be done in a way that's successful locally.
Well, I think it's obvious that the model is already there, and I'm sure that many states are going to use it. Let me move on to the question of reliability. There is criticism that the proposed rules of the administration are going to cause a reduction in reliability of the system. But we already know that extreme weather, climate change, is in fact impacting the reliability of our electricity grid in our country. Could you deal with that issue of these proposed rules and the reliability of the electrical grid system in the United States?
Well, Senator, we agree that the worst thing to do for reliability is to do nothing. Keeping reliability very much in mind, as the President directed us to and as the Administrator always reminds us, we looked at how to design the proposed plan in a way to make sure that reliability would not be put at risk and in fact be enhanced. And there are a number of things that are built into the proposal in order to make sure that that will happen. One is the length of time that we put into the proposal for the reductions to be achieved. So there is a 15-year trajectory before the final compliance date. That was intended to be quite consistent with the requests that we have always received from utilities and reliability agencies and others, that utilities need a long planning horizon.
So do you think that the proposed rules will actually drive the electricity system to become more resilient, more and stronger.
We do think that the planning activities that will be going on and are going on now are intended to assure a reliable electricity system.
I think that's very helpful. And finally, the American Gas Association comments on the proposal were complimentary of the EPA's outreach efforts, but they asked whether or not there could be more flexibility in terms of the planning at the state level in order to comply with the carbon reduction goals that will be set for state after state. Could you deal with that in terms of the flexibility beyond the 4 building blocks that are in the EPA's plan that the states might be able to rely upon?
Yes, I'll emphasize again that the building blocks were intended to be a starting point. States have ultimate flexibility to decide on just what approach they want to take. And if they want to rely more than our proposal suggested they might on natural gas, they would have every opportunity to do so.
So I think it's pretty clear that it's going to be possible to reduce carbon, to increase the GDP, to enhance the reliability of the system while engaging in significant job growth in our country. So I thank you so much. I thank you, Senator Boxer, for your courtesy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.